All right. Welcome back to Beyond the Code. After a little break, we're here with Anne-Grace. I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
You can try pronouncing
Kaczewski.
attempt. Kaczewski.
Kaczewski. Anne-Grace Kaczewski from MME Legal. She's joining us here all the way from Switzerland. I'd love it if you could tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, about the firm, about what brings you here to Israel, and your thoughts on the industry at large.
At large. Okay, so let's start with the story. I started with financial regulations, traditional world, banking, very classy lawyer in a traditional law firm. After 2 years, you realize maybe this is not what I studied for. The easy solution was let's go for a PhD, right? Because you either can go for LLM, try to shift to a different pathway within the legal. It's like, why would I do this if I can just research, get a grant, and like deep dive into a topic that no one cares about, like sharing economy.
And so you bet on crypto.
I think that's how I ended up with crypto, is that like the whole collaborative sharing economy, it was about like having collaborative approaches to how to do business. But then you realize the problem of centralized entities taking over. Then you discover articles about decentralizing things.
Sounds like a great thing to write your PhD about.
I mean, I literally discovered crypto through the idea of having a decentralized community for Uber drivers instead of having Uber the app.
Okay.
This is how you deep dive, and then you drift further away, and you just dive so deep into crypto that you forgot how you started the journey. And luckily enough, I had the chance in Switzerland of like enjoying it off at first, and being really pushing the waters. It's like, oh, you're from Belgium, you know crypto. Now you're in Switzerland, but let's go ahead and see how it works. And it's worked out pretty well.
So like you sold the firm on the idea of like going into crypto, or they were looking specifically for somebody?
For someone who understands crypto, regardless of the default. You know, like, you'll figure it out. It's mostly about at least understanding the product, which now I understand why it was so important, because you can be the best lawyer ever. If you don't understand the product, you're gonna miss the important
100%.
points.
And like interestingly enough, like in this industry, you don't need to go to school and do like a crypto degree. It's enough to like get your hands dirty a little bit. And if you're like deeply ingrained in the products and you use them yourself, like you could really like self-learn.
I mean, this you learn by making mistakes, by using products that get bagged, by just experimenting, losing some funds along the way, hearing some weird stories, and this is how you become better. Which I think it's a bit, it's humbling you down as well as a lawyer, because often the lawyer is the first like, oh, I have these solutions, I will help you out. Here you need to go out there and realize that you need to understand the tech, but when you start, you know nothing about it. And then you have this super deep conversation with someone about like some ZK-proof systems, and okay, I understood 50%.
Yeah, why don't you just go a little closer
I
to the mic?
understood 50%. I need to do this. What is wrong with
No. I just want you to be closer. So I'm best friend here. They hear you. Okay. Yeah, so tell me some of your war stories, because you said that like, you know, in one of the what's it called?
What do you want to hear about?
I don't know, a rite of passage in space is getting burned, getting scammed.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you got burnt at some point along the way. Tell me some of your your war stories.
I mean, the worst, I wouldn't say it's the worst, it became the best learning, but it was just like a fact,
Okay.
which I was also using myself. So there was like this doubtful aspect of, damn it, I lost some funds, luckily not too much, but on top of that, I need to figure out how to handle something where you don't really have any clarity, because like which jurisdiction do you go to, who do you contact?
Right.
And it's all decentralized, obviously it's all DAOs discussing together. How the hell are DAOs like supposed to solve an issue of like hacking, right? So this was very funny. The other times,
Wait, so what happened with this? I got hacked.
I think what happened in is a public story, but the thing is we had to return to authorities, right? And it's just discussing this code basically. And you figure out on the issues of okay, who is entitled to say something on behalf of the DAO, to do the download. Then you need to follow the process, but what the process delays the whole thing. What do you communicate about the whole issue as well? That there's some over different authorities. And then that's like copying the updates. Then you can't really say everything because it's going to prevent the writing course of action for the authorities. So it's this very uncomfortable situation if you want to share information, but you want to share everything on top of that. It's not subject to a clear law that's easily created, and everyone has their background. So you have like one outlet like, oh yeah, the US is how we do things. Yeah, sorry, this is not how it works in a different jurisdiction. How do you explain?
So it's a big mess, basically.
It was a big mess, and you just need to say, okay, I'm not a lawyer anymore. I'm just like a general
Community member.
advisor who more or less tries to, in a jurisdiction agnostic way, guide the way forward. And this is also very humbling because, like, damn, I can't say something with 100% certitude. And then we always have this idea of lawyers also wants to back themselves up saying, you have my ability, I can't say something. In this context, there's so much thin line between what's correct and not correct. Can't change it.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one. Just training myself because it also teaches you about markets. So now, for example, like my deep thing is market manipulation. Like the European regulation that introduced market manipulation rules, it's like I love it. But to understand, you need to train yourself. It's like software, right?
Right.
So just
שלום סטודנטים, לא פסקת לא סטודנטים, אנחנו רוצים לשמיע מדיעות עכשיו.
Okay, and have you been successful?
זה ההתנהלות כפתאום, אז אתם מוזמנים להצטרף, במליאה המשתית יש לנו מה להטיף אבטחת המידע, מוזמנים להיכנס, אנחנו מתחילים ממש עוד 5 דקות.
Thank you for that important announcement. Yeah. So have you been successful in your trading endeavors?
I think it was successful. Was I successful in my trading ventures? I would say yes, because I haven't lost more than I invested.
Okay, that's always a good.
But that could be more successful. So I tend to limit myself because I know I'm actually the legion, so I will leave with small amounts. I mean, you know the rule of like you're not supposed to trade more than you can afford to lose. I'm like, oh, that's too small. So even if I go full legion, worst case, I have lost. For now, I'm in a 1 year long detox.
Okay, I like that. It's like degen mode, like. Very cool. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the firm and about what you guys are doing and what brings you here to Israel. Again and again and again, because this is not your first time.
No, indeed. And I will come again and again and again. Every season is good. I mean, law firm MME space is quite a long time. I mean, we have a product like you set up the Eternal Foundation.
Yeah.
It's like one of the rise, but obviously now years passed by, we're past like the initial foundation fund. So the law firm grew. That's like, I think it's one of the biggest projects in Europe right now. We also expanded by European law, but we also have another border, like I have that in background, we have like the French border as well. So
Okay.
we
Weekend, yeah.
so you have like this law firm that's trying to evolve and adjust with every partner having their like approach. So every DAO and so on for Switzerland. Because people like think now it's Switzerland, it's expensive, Switzerland is complicated, it's
That's it.
burden. It's not exactly the case.
Okay,
That's how you
sell me Switzerland.
I mean, we have the DAO set out. We
Okay,
have clarity on like DeFi aspects. So it's quite, I mean, in Europe, for example, just for comparison, you have the Danish report on what is this reportation. You have
Jetzt glaube ich, der nächste Vertrag, אנחנו רוצים לשתי המדינות, לשתי לתפוס אנחנו רוצים להתחיל.
market. I think I'm exempted. On what are your sources? You kind of navigate those crowds, so you end up doing super detailed assessments of their whole infrastructure. It's not for risk assessment. According to us, you have these risk factors, whether it's going to work out or not. We can't really tell because you have not had to
okay, interesting.
practice. So I'd say it's a safe space to test new products.
Okay,
Because anything related to utility it's not regulated. So if you want to launch an MD, like let's say cheap, fast, and like how do you use the likes? Oh, we have a great idea. We need the MVP in 6 months. We can set up an entity fast, one that you will be able to make evolve over time, even into a foundation if you want to, because you just set up an association. You launch a product based on like assessing like what can you control, what cannot you control to really fit into this idea. This is a permissionless tool that you deploy on chain. And then you test it and you see if it works. You raise your funds, you figure out like what
okay,
set up
interesting.
and go.
So and it allows you to be more dynamic.
Let's say it's like a good sandbox to test the product.
Okay,
And it's also good afterwards to grow, obviously depending on what you do. Because I mean, as soon as you say regulatory clarity, it means potentially also being subject to AML, depending on what you do, and not everyone likes to hear that to be subject to AML. So on the other hand, where can you escape it now? Because as soon as we have stable points, we'll have regulations everywhere.
Right. Tell me, is there any benefit in setting up your structure in Switzerland as far as access to banking is concerned?
That's the access to banking can be a good factor because people in bank account, they use startups don't always need a bank account because they pay their teams with crypto, they're raising crypto.
And still, like foundations typically have a difficult time getting bank accounts. So, like, even if you go to a jurisdiction that's less expensive to set up, a little bit more agile as far as the regulator is concerned, you're likely not to get access to traditional banking. So, like, is there a benefit?
We can
You can. What are your thoughts on the future?
On the future of crypto?
On the future of crypto, on the future of crypto regulation.
The future of crypto regulation is unfortunately a lot of regulatory marketing. And I'm slightly afraid about it because people that flock to specific jurisdictions based on how good the marketing is. We have the Dubai trend, now we have the US trend.
And who's driving the marketing? Is it the regulators themselves?
Let's say it's like the industry and the regulator to something. I mean, in the US, it's also the regulator, the way they announce things. It goes from
It means the US is trying to do damage control, basically. Do damage control.
It's damage control, but I don't like when regulators oversight. Like in the way you present the setup, there's always downsides. Like some people, for example, it's great, but if you have payment tokens on board, you may have all these AML aspects. You have to be transparent about it. US, same. Should be great, but some have other tax issues. The fact that depending on the states, individual and double may have some discrepancies as well. So it's not so perfect. Same, sure. You may have some downsides if you need a presence over there and you need to pay a lot just to maintain like an actual presence. And this will that's what they're about it. Same thing as well. Like the process can be smooth so for some people, but end up being costly and great for others. So putting a label of go there, it's great. I think it's always done to actually because a lot of people go there, but a lot of people is a good as well.
Yeah, and also there's no solution that's right for everyone. It's very.
People don't want to accept this. It's like, oh,
I mean,
this is what you need to do.
I mean, I tend to disagree with you. Like we often get people who come to us and say like, open a company for me in VVI, and we'll say like, no, let's take a step back. Tell us a little bit about your product. Tell us a little bit about why you think that makes sense for you. And then we'll do like an analysis and try and determine if that's the best option. So, I mean, I think there's almost never like one solution that works for everybody. And having that like initial thought process, this is why we like our sweet spot when working with clients is like come to us at an early enough stage that we could, plan a structure that makes sense going forward rather than coming something that we have to fix, because it's much harder to fix issues than it is to like do things right the first time.
It's fun.
It's fun and more expensive for the client and more cumbersome.
It's cool. It's less cool for the client. But the only thing I realized that I agree with that approach, but needs for me to understand what they do. And sometimes they're so early that it's like, oh, this needs to be defined.
Well, that's why you get to grow with the client and you can help them. A lot of times clients don't know what's best for them and they don't know, they have an idea of like a certain product in their head, but then when you actually talk it out, and you add like the regulatory clarity around like what it means to do what it is that you're proposing to do, they have like an aha moment. They're like, oh, okay, so let's do it like this. Which is why we do a lot of like product counseling.
You become like basically part of the product. If you just help on economics, you end up figuring out functionalities.
Yeah, exactly.
Interface presentations. I mean, don't you feel like sometimes lawyers on crypto are everything at once? We do marketing, we do VV, we need to be all over the place and become a Swiss knife.
Yeah.
But with the legal aspect on top.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll keep killing it and keep coming here to Israel.